I did.
Mm. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Just Mats podcast, presented by the Believe Podcast Network. My name is Andrew Claudio. That is Rich MacLeod, and we are here again, recapping a miserable weekend of Mets baseball, a miserable weekend of Mets baseball in Miami, and all of the good that a lot of us felt at the end of last week with the 5-1 stretch and the 5-1 homestand of sweeping the Tigers and then taking 2 out of 3 from the Yankees in dramatic fashion. I would propose that all of that good feeling and good vibe is gone after now a stretch of 1-5 where the anemic, lifeless offense has returned, and a trip to Miami, which I think can officially just be renamed Turner Field at some point. It's the House of Horrors for this generation, where the Mets are swept by the Miami Marlins and score 2 runs while they're out in Miami against the pitching staff that was one of the worst in the sport, against the defense that was one of the worst in the sport, and the team that was 12-18 going into the series. Um, Rich, you know this from years of talking to me about the team, but in an unofficial, non-podcast capacity. But Memorial Day is usually my checkpoint to look at standings and to see how teams are doing. We have made it to Memorial Day, and I'll ask you, how you doing?
Overall, I'm good. In regards to the Mets,
Yeah.
I feel nothing at this point. We've once again reached that point where just for the bit I was kind of rooting for exactly what happened today of just give up the grand slam. Like it'll be a better podcast because like this team sucks. This team is not good at baseball. They can't hit. They are sloppy and often ill prepared. They compound their mistakes on top of each other. And worse than I think any of that is they fooled us again. And whose fault is that? I don't even blame them at this point. I blame myself. I blame us because we just didn't want to face the reality of talking about a pointless baseball team for the next 4 to 5 months on this podcast. And we were looking for any excuse, any shred of hope. And look, they gave us a little something, right? The 7-3 stretch that they had after Monday's win in Washington. That's the only 7-3 stretch they've had this entire season. Even when they were at their best, they were 7-4. So it was their best 10-game stretch of the entire season. But were they playing particularly well? No. Were you throwing it back? No. But you just knew it probably couldn't keep up with the state of the roster and with who this team has shown us to be early on this year. And after a pretty scintillating win on Monday in extra innings against the Nationals, where they score 16 total runs, they score 10 runs in the 12th inning. The Mets have scored 14 runs in 54 innings since then.
Jeez.
And they go 2-5 on the week. They're 1-5 since that night, and all the good work that they have done the last few weeks to try to dig themselves out of that hole that they dug themselves in. Their bottom mark this year was 11 games under 500. They had gotten it to 6, so they had undone half of the damage. And after all that, they're 9 games under 500 again. We have to face the reality that it may be May 24th when we're recording this. It may just be Memorial Day, not even June yet. The 2026 Mets are not going anywhere, and this is one of the worst teams in baseball, and I think we just have to believe it at this point. They have shown us who they are. We have to believe it. There is no miracle coming this year. There is no OMG moment. There's no 2015 Cespedes run. It's just a bad baseball team that is now half made up of rookies out of desperation, probably, because pretty much every single veteran that this team acquired in the offseason has been a complete bust, whether they just can't play talent-wise, like Bo Bichette, who teased us with 4 great games and then did absolutely nothing in Miami, or they physically can't play, like Luis Robert Jr. and Jorge Polanco, who might have died a month ago, and we just don't know. He might be getting weekend at Bernie's at this point, because I'm not sure that man exists. I just said a lot, but yeah, I mean, that's kind of where I'm at. Like, this baseball team sucks, and I don't think that they're going to stop sucking in the calendar year of 2026.
It's actually impressive how bad they are with how the payroll is, and I understand how much of that payroll is injured at the moment. There's also a significant amount of the payroll that's not producing. And I look, mathematically, no, the season's not over, but that's the only avenue to the season not being over. And
yeah,
I don't know if we've ever actually put into, like, if I've ever actually put it all out there, the theory I have about the stages of a baseball season. The Memorial Day is the first time you should really react to something and look at where you are in the standings and where seasons are. June is the most important month of any baseball season because it really determines for like 90% of teams what your season is, right? And now maybe the 6 playoff teams in each league has changed that a little bit because teams can fool themselves later into July and August into thinking they're in it. But Memorial Day is like the first checkpoint, and then based off of what you do in June will determine whether you're buyers or sellers in July. I'm having a hard time, to your point about the miracle of 2024, and like, look, the miracle of the 2019 Nationals that teams love to bring up, even though the Mets just do not have that pitching staff. They have Juan Soto. They do not have MVP candidate Anthony Rendon or a Trey Turner or like all of the other things that went right for that team that year.
Scherzer, Strasburg.
Well, like, yeah, the
Patrick
pitching
Corbin,
staff, I'm saying.
yeah,
like, they don't have that rotation. Like, the Nationals lost Bryce Harper and went and got Patrick Corbin, who gave them his only good season left of his career in his first year, and they were able to win the World Series. Like, they went and got Anibal Sanchez that year. The Mets are just lucky to get Christian Scott, who was great today, to get into the 6th inning. They're lucky to get Freddie Peralta finally into the 7th inning. They don't have an elite, really anything other than an elite $800 million player that, you know, is only able to get up and be productive in a couple of at-bats because he's got no protection in his order. Look, as someone who prides himself on being the optimistic Mets fan that, you know, created a thing that tries to put things into context, I don't know what the case is for the season to still have any hint of a chance of them getting back into it other than, like, there's still like 100 games left. That's the only case that you have, is the time. And other than, because we were in this exact spot of Memorial Day 2 years ago as Mets fans, where like the Dodgers were coming into town and they're like 8 or 9 games under 500, and we're like, okay, are they going to get back into it, or is this going to be the season's over? And then they lost 3 in a row, and we thought, okay, that's how the season's going to go. And then one of the most magical
Jorge
runs.
Lopez.
Yeah, like the Jorge Lopez, the Ohtani home run, like all of that happened. And then a miracle happened, to your point. Like, that's the only way that the Mets get back into this is a miracle. And I'm sorry. We got a miracle in 2024. We got a miracle in the 9th inning of 1986. We got a miracle in the entirety of the 69 season. I don't think your best analysis or hope or path is to keep hoping for miracles. At a certain point, what you're seeing on the field is what you're getting. And what we've been getting through Memorial Day, Rich, is a bad baseball team. And look, if you want to just go through just how bad some of the things are with this baseball team, by all means. I know you had you made an extensive rundown for us today.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, just going off what you said, like miracles are miracles because they don't come around often and you can't bank on them. If your strategy as a baseball team or a sports organization or a human being is to bank everything on a miracle, you're cooked. Like, it might happen. You might get that 1% lucky chance. The odds that you're going to get a miracle for the second time in 3 years are astronomically low. And honestly, this is a different discussion than I think you were teeing me up for. But how do we look at this David Stearns era if that miracle doesn't happen in 2024? Because otherwise you're looking at 3 fucking disastrous seasons since he's come here and a lot of underperformance.
Well, so it's funny is, look, they brought up a pop singer. I've made the joke consistently, like the OMG of it all, the JD Davis leadership aspect, or what did I say? JD Martinez leadership that he brought, even though for like the last 2 months of the season he was unplayable, right? And Starling Marte becoming like a productive piece, even though he was like a part-time DH, right? What turned that season around was Francisco Lindor became an MVP candidate. Mark Vientos had what is looking like an anomaly. I understand he's been better this year than he was last year. Still hasn't been great. Like, still has an OPS that starts with a 6.
Not saying much.
Like, it's not. He's still up in every high leverage situation and kinda does well, right? And most importantly, they landed on a rotation between Severino and Minaya and Quintana and David Peterson that just shoved and threw innings, and they slowly extended all of these guys throughout the season in how far they would let them go, that by the time we got into August and September, every night was 6+, 7+. And then you get to the postseason and you're counting on them all to go 6+, 7+. I don't see that coming anytime soon. Whether it's Peralta, who pitched in the 7th inning for the first time this season yesterday, or Christian Scott, who I don't know if you want to put that type of leverage on his arm at this point. And look, we're recapping the week, right? Whatever's happening to Nolan McLean at this point, where there's signs of regression, there is a hint of his defense letting him down a bit. But the ace conversation should be put on hold for him. He has ace stuff, absolutely. He's also in his first full season, his second season in the majors. There's just less to count on. That the recipe for that miracle is just so much less likely. And that's the pitching side, Rich. I don't know where they're getting consistent offense from, like, at all. It's unfair to ask A.J. Ewing and Carson Bench to be as important as they have now been made to be, because like they were your 1 and your 3 hitter today. Think about that. These guys weren't in the majors. Yes, last season. A.J. Ewing wasn't in the majors 2 weeks ago. And these were the guys in the highest of leverage spots at the top of your order today, because you've got Vientos and Beatty, and my goodness, what's become of Mark Semien, all like not good enough to be in those spots instead. They just don't have anything consistent to count on besides Juan Soto in their order, that we're at a point where I don't see where enough offense is going to come from, that a pitching staff that's been, honestly, they've been fine this year, to support them to even hint at the miracle turning things around, Rich.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, you just going through the rookies in the lineup that are now suddenly so vital, and how many of them have been called up. Obviously, Benj made the team coming out of spring training, but in the last, 2 weeks now, the Mets have called up A.J. Ewing, Nick Morabito. They've called up Jonah Tong, Jonathan Pintaro. You had Zach Thornton make his debut. Doesn't it just kind of feel like the same thing they did last summer when things had already fallen off the rails, and out of desperation they called up McLean way too late, and Sproat and Tong, and you could argue that only one of those guys was ready. And they had to do that because they had no other levers to pull because they completely beefed the trade deadline and they had a bad offseason before that. Kind of just feels like the same shit with David Stearns, where he's like, I got to throw a bunch of stuff at the wall because I did such a bad job constructing this team. And you want to call them unlucky. Most of the injuries, other than Francisco Lindor, are guys who get hurt every single year. Like, you had to see this coming. You got Sean Manaea still mucking up the entire pitching staff. I mean, he was fine the other day, but he's making the most of any pitcher on the team. And it's just like, this is such a poorly put together roster. And yeah, we thought it was better constructed, obviously, coming into the year. We had high expectations. We are also not making millions of dollars a year and are responsible for putting baseball teams together. They should know better than us. And this is just a bad team. And I worry that they have put some of these young guys in precarious situations because they're maybe trying to save their jobs and maybe trying to not look as incompetent as they have been for the last 2 years.
Yeah. I gotta be honest, I'm past the point of the Mendoza or the Stearns conversation. They're conversations that should be had. I agree with you. We've had them consistently throughout the first month of the season.
Too much.
I don't think, like, Stearns in his arrogance was like, I don't want to keep talking about the manager's job. And then he called up A.J. Ewing, a desperate move, calling up a guy that spent 12 games in AAA to come save his season. It looked like it worked for 7 games. Like, all right, there's a jolt. 7 games, you're 6-1. Now you're on the other side of it. What's the next jolt? Right? Like, are we now allowed to ask about the manager after your offense scored, what was it, 14 runs in the last 5 games?
Innings.
In the last 54 innings. And I believe 5 of those runs were in the first 3 of the Tuesday game against the Nationals before the inside the park grand slam, right?
Yeah, which kind of, you should have known when that happened. It was, the whole spool came undone right after that. I know they won 1 game after that, but it was like, that's such a Mets thing of vibes are high. You just won that series against the Yankees, which of course I didn't get to talk about. You have that great extra inning win. You're up 5-0. Bo Bichette's hit 2 home runs. Oh, he's coming around. Nolan McLean's on the mound. And then you give up a fucking inside the park grand slam. And all hell breaks loose the rest of the week.
Before this becomes just Knicks, I will just say many a person pointed out to me that the Knicks comeback on the exact same night also has now coincided with the Mets' sudden downturn once again. That the Knicks had a week off. The Mets went 6-1 while the Knicks were off. The Mets gave up an inside the park grand slam, which was then followed by the Knicks erasing a 22-point fourth quarter deficit and then winning the next 2 games and are currently 1 win away from the NBA Finals. I will just let you all know, I understand this is just Mets. I will sacrifice the rest of this loser season if it means the Knicks can win a championship. I'll just throw that out there. Can I show you something?
Please.
Because there's a chart that I like to track. You need like 2 months of data before you can start tracking it, but you want to get the league average for the 4 main splits: batting average, on base percentage, slugging percentage, and obviously OPS, right? That 4 number slash line, you need 2 months of data, and then you take those 4 numbers and you take the league average and you just plug it into StatHead, and you see how many players in the sport through 2 months are below league average in all 4 categories. And you see how many teams are dealing with like 3 or 4 of these guys in like everyday spots. So I've plugged it in, and I'll just say the league average for all 4 of these. For batting average, the league average is 240. For on base, it's 318. For slugging, it's 388, which adds to a league average OPS of 706. Now, this is what it looks like. Leave it on the full screen because I think it's a lot to read. But what you're looking at, hopefully, is that the Mets have 3 guys that are currently below league average in all 3. It is Marcus Semien, who they traded Brandon Nimmo for. It's Brett Beatty, who has been they jerked around a little bit, whether having to play first base, right field. I actually think he's hit better lately, which is amazing that he's still below league average in all of these categories. And then it's Bo Bichette, who, despite an outstanding 4 games, is still below league average in all of these and has the worst OPS. Oh, excuse me, Marcus Semien has the worst OPS, but has an OPS that starts with a 5. Of the 40 players on this list, Bo Bichette has the 31st ranked OPS this season. There are other teams dealing with this. Don't get me wrong. The Mets have 3 guys on this list. The other teams that have 3 are the Boston Red Sox with Caleb Durbin, Trevor Story, and Jarren Duran. There was one other team. The Phillies have 2. Oh, they have 3 with Adolis Garcia, Alec Bowman. My goodness, Trey Turner. The Padres have 3 with Jackson Merrill, Manny Machado, and Ramon Laureano. And then Cal Raleigh just being on this list is still amazing to me. But regardless, the Mets are on this list, and the 3 guys on here were already counted on to be important parts of this offense. And then you add in, they lost Polanco, they lost Robert, Lindor's been gone for over a month. It just, the guys that are here aren't producing and are below this, I don't even know what I would call this. It's a league average ass meter, right? You're below league average. The
ass meter.
The ass meter. Honestly, it's the ass line. You have the Mendoza line, you have the ass line. You're so bad that you're below all 4. I'm sorry for my language, Mets fans, but that's all I got. It's you're below league average in all 4 of these categories. There's only 40 of these guys on this list.
You're look, it's not us. You are statistically, officially ass.
It's literally the league is telling you you're below ass. That's what it is. It's the below ass line. The below ass line. Okay. So the Mets have 3 guys on the below ass meter. Okay. And think about it, because league average isn't all that great. It's just below ass, right? So you have those 3 guys currently getting at bats, and they're below ass, right? You have 3 other guys, 3 other veterans that are injured and not playing, which then we are the ass of the ass. Yes, I agree, notorious BSG, which then brings you to Juan Soto and the 3 rookies. I didn't even mention the catching situation that Alvarez was hurt too. So it's really 4 guys that are out, and then you have 2 rookies in Juan Soto. This is all a recipe for a lost season. Is really where I'm going with this, because I don't
Soto
see
and the
this getting bad.
It sounds like a bad family band.
And so I don't know where we go from here, Rich, because they're not going to fire the manager. I don't think Cohen is going to fire the president of baseball operations. I hate to say it. But we have 110 games left. So
I know.
At a certain point, where do we go from here? That's really where I think this ends up. Is what happen? What do we do next, other than go Knicks?
I'm curious how spicy these homestand press conferences are going to get, because Stearns was pretty prickly last time around, and I thought he had absolutely no ground to stand on when he did that, with the Joel Sherman of it all. You ever watch Star Wars?
Yes.
You big Star Wars guy? I keep thinking with Stearns, just the argument that the Mets fans, that this is a tangent at this point, but the Mets fans versus David Stearns just feels like Mets fans yelling at David Stearns are your overconfidence is your weakness. And then David Stearns turns back and says, your faith in your friend is yours.
That's good. That is good. Mandalorian and Grogu in theaters now.
Yeah. Sponsor us, Disney.
Yeah, please.
Disney
we
Plus.
just referenced you. You could bring up. We'll go through the below ass meter, and you can
honestly,
you can sponsor that.
If this season continues to be on this path, which I think we've established over the first 20 minutes or so, that Stearns is a Sith Lord. I just saw in the comments. Definitely not. I thought he was the chosen one.
Listen, we're at the point with this that the hate is going to be flowing through all of us this summer, and Citi Field's going to be empty. And Rich, can I just say, I know you were about to get on your point, but I was in the building last Saturday, man. There was a jolt, getting to shut all the Yankee fans up, and that, I said this to Benji, that stadium got taken over by Yankee fans. That is a thing that happen. Mets fans had checked out before those tickets started to be bought. So you had a full building, and you did what every opposing team that the Knicks have played for the last month hasn't been able to do. You make the people that take over your building leave sad, right? And that's gone. The momentum that you had after the Subway Series, that's a season turnaround momentum.
You
And
had
it's
a
just
ninth inning
gone.
comeback. It finally happened.
It
and
finally
you fucking
happened.
Pissed it away.
And so that's where I don't want this to just be like a event sesh, but
It might be the last one though. Like,
that's fair. We're at the point where this is becoming like, how many more times are we just going to say this is bad? You know,
exactly. Like, how much vigor is there left to have at some point? You hit the apathy point, and like, we don't want to just be repeating ourselves for the next 4 months. But if this continues down the path it's on, which I think that it will, that's what we've been talking about this entire time. Like, we might just have to introduce a segment once the Knicks season's over that's called "What Else Is On," and just talk about movies or TV or whatever the hell we're watching, because we're going to get at a point in July and August, especially after the trade deadline, assuming things don't change by then and they don't try to buy, which doesn't seem like it would be smart at this point. People aren't going to be watching this team. They're going to be watching other stuff.
Yeah.
People are going to be checked out, and it's going to be a lot more challenging to talk about, for sure.
Other notable names on this list, by the way, Pete Crow Armstrong is on the below the ass meter. I mentioned what's it called? The guy who had 60 home runs. Cal Raleigh last year. The Yankees have a guy. His name is Trent Grisham. If I had lowered the at-bat meter that your qualifications, because I did it based if you're qualified for the batting title, then like you've had enough at-bats that you've qualified for this, then Ryan McMahon and the catcher Austin Wells would be on this list. But the Yankees have pivoted from those guys, and they're lucky enough that Ben Rice and Aaron Judge are able to carry a team, although they've been scuffling lately.
They did win today. Walk-off home run from Judge.
The other name on this list that I found, two of the other names that I found fascinating were Andres Jimenez, former Met, is on this list. And then
former and current Mets on this list.
Well, so the last former Met on this list is Cedric Mullins, who's on a team that's 22-5 in its last 27 games, but playing every day regardless because he's there. That will be a midseason. We're trading for a center fielder so we don't have to watch Cedric Mullins anymore. Where do you want to go next? You want to go to some comments, or you want to go to some segments?
Let's do some comments. I think people got some stuff to get off their chests, and either some complaints or cracking some jokes.
Yeah, let's do it.
I think we could flash up some of the comments.
I'm ready to laugh. Pantrese, you can't really make up how bad offensively this team is. I don't mind the young guys batting ever, but Beatty, Vientos, and Bichette, yikes. Talk about the three worst and inconsistent hitters in Major League Baseball. Two of which are below the ass line, the ass meter.
And one of which is making $40-something million this year.
Yeah. Look, I've been saying it in the Mets therapy videos, man. It's a lineup of 7, 8, and 9 hitters. That's what they are right now.
And that might be being generous at this point. I mean, look at this. Look at the OPSs in this lineup.
Yeah.
Outside of AJ Ewing, none of them start with a 7 other than MJ Melendez.
I'm very done with MJ Melendez.
Supposed to be on the team.
Yeah, I'm very done with the MJ Melendez experience, by the way. The most productive thing he's done in the last week is get hit by a pitch 3 times. Like, it's really the only thing he's done. He's had 2 hits in May.
Do that.
Literally, we just could stand there and get hit. I don't know if I'm getting hit a second time, but
no, you'd never see me again because I would turn into dust. But...
Right. Pantrese, this is the conundrum of the team. They are leaning on all 3 of these guys, and they're very inconsistent.
Yeah, and to the point about Bichette, because I am going to single him out because am I that surprised that Beatty and Vientos are like doing the thing that they've done their entire major league careers? No. Bo Bichette, dude, you're supposed to be the big piece of the offseason. You're getting paid an absurd amount of money. He goes, 7 for 18 against the Nationals, and Of course, I do the midweek show on Thursday night, and I highlight two guys in that show: Bo Bichette, who goes 1 for 12 against the Marlins, and Devin Williams, who gives up a walk-off fucking grand slam on Sunday. Like, I am the kiss of death, I think, and I hate this team.
Look, maybe the Knicks will give us another week of they'll win Monday, and then the Mets will be free to win for a week and a half until the finals start.
And just to rope us back in.
Rope us back in. Yeah, they'll go 5-1 before that West Coast trip, and then we'll be looking at the West Coast trip that ends the season.
Fool me once, shame on you. It fooled me 417 times. I should probably stop watching baseball.
That feels low. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, this guy, Kevin Danishevsky. Say what you will.
Oh, Kevin.
Say what you will. It's really nice to have Morabito up. Really, I've only seen him for 6 at bats. I don't know how nice it is to have him up. I wonder if we could get Nick Gonzalez from the Pirates.
I see what he's doing.
He put a K in front of for the Nick. Okay, so every time he says Nick. I see what he's doing. He's not serious about transactions here. I'll play along. I wonder if we could get Nick Gonzalez from the Pirates, spelled K-N-I-C-K. Can we convince Nick, K-N-I-C-K, Ahmed to come out of retirement? How about Nick, K-N-I-C-K, Swisher? It's well done, Kevin.
That's pretty good for Kevin.
You owe Sean wings. Okay? Yeah. Let's just make that clear. Kevin annoyed me mid-season that Mikal Bridges would make an all-defensive, would finish top 15 in all defensive voting. Didn't get a vote. Now, listen, Mikal Bridges, I will never talk about draft picks ever again. He is a playoff hero and a Knicks legend forever after this playoff run. But the point of the story is Kevin was wrong, and we should all be reminded of that every day that we can.
Lemon pepper.
Yes. Please. CT Jets fan. I believe, shout out to our friends at the Believe Network, that the Mets are horrible. I can confirm. I think we all can confirm. There's no faith involved here. There's evidence of things seen. Notorious BSG starting to believe that David Stearns is just Bear Stearns in disguise. Who's Bear Stearns?
Bear Stearns is like a investment banking company that had a huge part in the mortgage crisis from 2008. I think they were like Big Short stuff. If you've ever seen that movie,
I've seen the movie. I didn't realize Bear Stearns was a real. Okay.
Yeah. So they're like the Enron of like the real estate.
So it's like the family name is what he's saying. Like,
yeah.
When we think David Stearns, we shouldn't think the NBA commissioner. Yeah, we should think the financial crisis of 2008.
Exactly.
Oh, how did we get here? Well done, Notorious BSG.
Very good. Very good.
Yeah. So this one we could spend a second on. OMG, a cow.
1,000.
1,000 cows, yes. Mendoza needs to be fired. I don't care if it changes nothing. So a couple of the Mets group chats that I'm in were like, would you fire Mendoza this weekend? And I was like, I would have fired him a month ago. What are we talking about? I wanted him fired after that Nationals game when they fell to 10-21. I thought there was a case to fire him after the Cubs game where they lost their 10th consecutive game. But I understood like it's early conversation. 22-31 with 109 games left. There's more than a case, especially when you factor in, shout out to Barron who put out the stat. It's now been a full 162 game sample that the Mets have been pretty inept. They're 73-89 during that stretch. So this is now a big enough sample that you can look at it and say over a full season, you're a 90 loss manager. I understand the stretch before that, you're an above 500 manager, but yeah, we're at the point where you have enough evidence. You just have a president of baseball operations that is refusing to do it. Almost Tibbs-like, honestly. Why won't you play the bench? Because. And then it becomes like inevitable. It's like, I decided to give the guys a look. It's like, all right, well, you're like down 2-0.
Heels dug in for some reason kind of thing.
Yeah. But
again, is it just like, we talked about this a couple weeks ago, is it look, if I'm David Stearns and I fire the manager, who is there left to point at? It's just me.
Yeah.
So why am I going to do that? Like I will keep that bullet for the rest of the season. Then we can fire him in the winter and then be like, well, we're not going to fire me too. We just got rid of the guy whose fault it really is. And then do we buy ourselves an extra year there?
Yeah.
It would not surprise me if there's some self-preservation going on there.
So if that is the case, that this is a self-preservation move, this then the conversation about Mendoza isn't a Mendoza conversation. It is a Stearns conversation. He's just an extension of the manager then, which I then asked myself, am I ready to fire David Stearns? And there's another comment about how bad all the farm system teams' offenses are. If you want to put that up, the fact that this isn't just like the major league team, the major league roster that is having and underperforming so much. What the numbers are, that have many guys on the below ass meter, right? The below ass line. It's like all throughout the organization in multiple tiers, which I thought David Stearns was good for infrastructure that would, at least if you're behaving like a small market GM with the payroll flexibility that you have, I can be frustrated with that, but at least I can look at your farm systems that you're building and say, well, at least you'll be set up for the future. Adam Smith brought this up. Every minor league affiliate, their offense is also bottom of their leagues, including in walks. Uncanny coincidence or a massive problem with the organization's hitting philosophy. I don't know how it's not a massive problem with the organization's hitting philosophy. The only pushback, I think, Rich, would be that it's a 2-month sample, right?
Yeah, I mean, I would say, like, to evaluate the entire organization-wide approach, I think you need to let the season play out. But, I mean, this is something that I feel like, I just feel like the Mets offense very often seems to have issues. I mean, we just ran, oh God, what the hell is his name? The hitting coach from last year,
Eric Chavez.
Eric Chavez. We just ran him out of town. We already have comments about, like, got to get Snicker out of here, got to get Jeff Albert out of here. It's like, I don't know. Are we just like rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic at that point? Like, if you just fired a hitting coach and 2 months into the next season, you want to fire the new hitting, it's just like, is it the hitting coach at that point, or is there something deeper going on here? It's a mix of the players and just the organizational wide philosophy, whatever that may be.
Yeah. The Justin Turners of the world, the guys that, or even like Daniel Murphy to an extent, the guys that were one thing with your organization and then go elsewhere and become like everyday players and like borderline all-stars, actual all-stars, those are anomalies. You know, I heard forever about Dom Smith and the Stan Squad and JD Davis and his Baseball Savant page. One is out of baseball and one is finally having like a good season with Atlanta in a very part-time role. You know, was a borderline major leaguer for years with Dom Smith. I'm pretty sure we're just recreating that world with Brett Beatty and Mark Vientos at the moment.
For the sake of the bit, do you want to know another former Met who's having a phenomenal rejuvenative season?
A hitter?
Michael Conforto has a 979 OPS for the Chicago Cubs, at 184 OPS plus. I mean, he barely, to be fair, he doesn't even have 70 at bats. He like does not play very much. They're using him very situationally, but he's been very good. And he hit a game tying double against Devin Williams a month ago.
The first blown save of the year for Devin Williams was during the losing streak way back when. Yeah.
So many losses.
Look, Adam, it's a concern. 100% a concern. Armand is amazing. Saw you in the We Gotta Believe chat, by the way. What's up? Yesterday, SNY postgame posted. Love that alliteration. The Mets were 2-8 in their last 8 games against the Marlins. After today, make it 2-9. Rich,
hate the Marlins, man.
You've been a Mets fan long enough to have the Marlins be the most annoying franchise because they're not like, I'm not afraid of the Marlins. It's just for some reason when the Mets play the Marlins, I only have bad memories.
Yeah, I mean, I saw some great tweets from a few people over the weekend that's like they were putting up videos of the Jacob Marcy like diving, leaping, robbing catches next to clips of the Marlins outfield from like 3 days before against the Braves, like falling over themselves and giving up inside the park home runs and stuff. And it's just like, what is it of the Mets? They show up and the Marlins are like, oh, we're turning into the Monstars for the next 3 days.
Oh, the Dodgers. They become the Dodgers.
We're about to do the most annoying shit you've ever seen in your life. And then the Mets leave and they will go back to being one of the worst teams in baseball.
The Marlins were 12-18 with one of the worst pitching staffs. They're with OAA, if you're grading by outs above average, they're 22nd in baseball. And they looked like Andy Pages in the World Series this weekend.
Yeah.
Like and just to further emphasize your point, the montage that you're thinking of is a Dom Smith Little League home run that was hit Thursday. He hit it to center field. Whoever was in center field, it went off his glove like Nick Morabito's play. Dom Smith gets to running. Whoever's in center field misses the cutoff man, and then Dom Smith sees that and runs home. The next day, the first batter is Carson Benj, who hits a 409-foot out because Jacob Marcy decided, I'm Jim Edmonds. So it's the most annoying franchise that has – you want to know the extent to which this franchise annoys me? Mets have been around forever, haven't won much. And like I like to think they're a step up on the Marlins in quality because they actually spend money. They have fans that go to their games. Like the outside baseball stuff is that stuff matters. That what happened and how Miami got that ballpark and what David Sampson did to the taxpayers there and you know how it some slimy stuff and able to get that working. And yet these are two franchises with 2 World Series rings. With 2 World Series trophies. Like, in a world, the Mets and Marlins are actually the exact same, you know, which is very annoying. So.
Yeah, I hate nothing but bad things for them, I hope.
Do you have any positive well, I'll read the next comment. Do you have any positive that you could think of? I have one that I could think of games, moments against the Marlins.
I only have one, and it's not even this like amazing moment. It's just it's a rare moment of the Mets not spitting the bit against the Marlins, and it's the end of 2016, where the Mets had to win, I think 2 out of 3 to probably make the playoffs. It's right when Jose Fernandez passed away, when D. Gordon hit the only home run that you were actually completely fine with allowing. Gary Cohen has that great call of like, I don't care how bad you want the Mets to make the playoffs. Like if that doesn't get to you, like you're not a human being basically.
Yeah.
And I think that was the only game in that series that the Mets lost and they won the other 2. And that helped carry them to the playoffs.
Beat the Phillies over the weekend to the wild card.
That feels like it was the only one of those scenarios, and it wasn't the last series, but I think it was the second to last series. It was definitely that last week. The only time in one of those scenarios that they didn't like totally like puke all over themselves against the Marlins, and that was in Miami too.
Only positive memory. That's a good one, I will say. It's the one I forgot. The only positive memory I have against the Marlins is in 2006 they clinched the division with them against the Marlins.
Oh yeah.
So like
after running roughshot
of the National League, they have a title to show for it. They were 2006 NL East champs. They won that division by 12 games. So it's not like there was any suspense with the Marlins. They were just the team that the Mets played against. And Joe Girardi, manager of the year, one and done with the Marlins. Anyway. Elvis Solano, this team is officially cooked for this season. I open this. I don't have a pushback. Even if I want to look at 109 games to turn it around, how are they turning it around? If you want to call them cooked or the season's over, I'm not pushing back at this point. Yeah, and this is the last one. We got
2 more.
It's from Spigweed.
From Twitter.
From Twitter. Last year's pitching staff were reclamations and experiments, crashed and burned. This year, the lineup were reclamations and experiments, crashed and burned. So what's
not a bad point?
Is the experiments the guys that have never played first base playing first base and like Brett Beatty in right field?
Yeah, I think it's a combined $80 million to Bo Bichette, Luis Robert, and Jorge Polanco. And you want to say Bichette's not an experiment, that's fine. But like the other two, $40 million and replacing more known quantities in Nimmo and Alonso, which again, we're not going to relitigate that at this point. But I think that's the big thing to point at. And I don't disagree there. So two injury-prone guys who Robert specifically is like a total lottery ticket. And then Jorge Polanco is coming off like the best season he's ever had in his life in his early 30s, and it was pretty much the only year that he didn't get hurt in his career.
Yeah, and we gave him 2 years to replace the most durable first baseman that the sport has seen over the last 6 years. So, and like that's not a Beatle. We're not having the same conversation. I think you've actually done the right thing of being like, you can let Pete Alonso walk and replace him with a first baseman. Every Christian Walker highlight that I see, I'm like, Rich was right.
Christian fucking Walker, man.
Yeah, like, that was the one. Murakami, even, although his numbers are down since people stopped throwing him strikes, you know?
Yeah, probably smart.
Yeah. James Buckley, always good to hear from you. Inside the park Grand Slam, walk-off Grand Slam, like Denny's. I wish there was still Denny's on Long Island, personally. I only get to go to Denny's when I go to Summer League because it's one in Vegas that I like to go to.
All right, this last comment before we go to our segments.
CT Jets fan, if Bichette signed with the Phillies, he would be an MVP candidate. Yeah, think about that. He was, he had a 10-year, $300 million offer from the Phillies available, or a 10-year deal available. The comments from either late last week or earlier this week from Bichette, where he said something along the lines of, like, I looked at this as a 3-year deal when I signed here. I know, like, opt-outs are there to protect people, and my agent negotiated it, but this is a 3-year commitment. And I hate to say it, Bo, that feels like a threat more than
I was just going to say, is that a threat? Are you threatening me?
More than a comfort at this point. Thank you to the over 600 people tuning in, by the way. We appreciate your contributions. Let's do some segments, Rich, and then I want to give you the floor to talk about a good team that wears blue and orange. Curtain call for this past week. We give this out to one player that was so good this week that we felt they needed to go to the top step and tip their cap to the crowd. Rich, it's your turn, and I almost want you to just let us both pick Juan Soto, but by all means, pick Juan Soto, and I'll figure something out for a second one.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I do need to acknowledge on this podcast where we so rarely get to actually talk about winning that I am picking first here because I'm absolutely dominating these weekly picks. I've won 7 in a row. Again, like most of these wins have just been because you've gone slightly too far over, because I picked 4 and 3. The Mets went 2 and 5. It's not like I'm Nostradamus over here.
Silly me. I thought that after the Tyrone Taylor moment, that might have turned some things around. You know,
I think I can safely say this is the last time we will have been fooled by this team this year. But if we somehow fall for it again, we should remember to clip this and make fun of ourselves later.
Exactly.
But yeah, I got to go with Soto. I mean, he hit 364 with a 909 slugging this week. He had 4 home runs, drove in 7 runs, even stole a base. I feel like that stolen base really showed. He's been running a little bit more lately. I think he's finally getting over the hamstring stuff now. He's looking a lot more like Soto at the peak of his powers from last year. And then, of course, on Sunday in the finale against the Marlins, he doesn't play because he gets the flu. Apparently something's going on in the locker room. And, like, no offense, like, Hayden Sanger's never the one to get sick. It's always Juan Soto or Francisco. It's like the one guy you need. And as bad as the offense has been, the one game Soto's not there, they score how many runs? None. If it was physically, mathematically possible for the Mets to have scored negative runs today, they would have found a way. So Juan Soto, clear runaway favorite for a curtain call this week. And I'll throw it over to you for the more challenging task of picking who else you would have.
My curtain call for this week is the New York Knicks. They are one win away from the NBA Finals. Jalen Brunson is about to eliminate Donovan Mitchell for the third time in his career. Evan Mobley and Jared Allen have survived the Mitchell Robinson is daddy allegations and have just now been adopted by OG Anunoby and Mikal Bridges instead. So, and James Harden. It's been a good run, man. You've provided a lot of content for all of us that like to talk shit, and we appreciate one more trip to the conference finals where I get to laugh at your defensive effort. I gotta be honest, Rich. A case could be made if I wanted to that an actual curtain call could be for Bo Bichette. Had an 890 OPS this week. I'm not doing it because this weekend happened, but the National Series happened. He had 3 home runs and 9 RBIs. Had the go-ahead RBIs. The only 2 runs that were scored in the game that they won, the last Nationals game, were a Bo Bichette base hit with runners in scoring position. Case could be made. Not making it. I'm just saying, if you're just judging the whole week, he did have a good week. He just had a horrific weekend that might be the Mets' new rock bottom.
He had a good half of a week. And that's the problem.
That's a problem, yes.
He was great for one series and then did literally nothing in the other one. So, yeah, I mean, I think if there was a second guy, it's Christian Scott, who still hasn't gotten his first major league win. He made his debut 2 years ago. He's made a decent amount of starts at this point. Like, it almost kind of feels like a curse at this point. He was more than good enough to win today. I would say today was the best start he's made in the major leagues. 5 1/3 scoreless before Brazoban came in. Really, really good. Exciting stuff from him, but couldn't score any runs.
So, in the same spirit of Bo Bichette having a good half a week, I think Christian Scott, he had 4 innings, 3 runs the other night. So I don't want to. I think it's the same thing. Bo Bichette had a great Washington series, was horrific this weekend. Christian Scott was meh against the Nationals, and then. Is that the Knicks, by the way, causing the ruckus outside your window?
It's quiet all day, and every time we do one of these podcasts, sirens go off 15 times, and I have to mute myself. It's ridiculous.
I think the actual place I will go to for my actual curtain call will be Jonah Tong. That he threw 3 hitless innings, looked great on Friday night. Really looked like he's developed a sweeper of sorts that will be a big difference maker if he could become a 3-pitch pitcher. And as this season's about to become a play the kids season, I'm intrigued by what we get from Jonah Tong. So, all right,
that was encouraging.
Stinko. Yeah. Oh yeah. Sorry. Say what you said.
That was all I was gonna say. It was very encouraging in a lost weekend. Just to see him, because I didn't think he was ready to get called up personally, and I was not expecting it. We were both pretty surprised that they called him up, especially after they had already said Tobias Myers is going to make that start. Of course, he only went an inning and a third. And Minaya and Tong went the rest of the way, but he was really good. One of his better appearances. I'll be curious to see how he does once he's more stretched out, and I assume he'll make the next start instead of Myers. But yeah, good for him.
Freaking better at this point.
True.
All right. El Stinko. Guys that were so bad that you say that Keith Hernandez was like, oof, El Stinko. You wrote everyone on the rundown. And I don't think
I ran out of time.
But it's everyone but Soto.
Yeah.
That's the only adjustment I would make. And again, in looking at MLB.com's last 7 days, all of these look terrible. Yeah, I just got to do it, man. Marcus Semien, I was open to the idea of a Gold Glover playing second base. He's in the 30th percentile in OAA in range on his Baseball Savant page. The defense has declined. I'm sorry. And you had the 2 errors on one play in part of the collapse on Tuesday. You look like the Cleveland Cavaliers out there with those turnovers, my man. And then you go to the plate. He went 3 for 26 this week with a 222 OPS. He's below the ass line. I'm sorry. This is a player at the end of his major league career, and the Mets are on the hook for 2 more seasons at $28 million left. I understood the calculation that Stearns made that like you get 1 3.5 war season from Marcus Semien this year. It'll be about what you expect or project from Nimmo, right? Because we love our charts and our projections in the Stearns office, right? You get 1 like average to above average season, just mostly built on his defense. Then he starts to decline, and if he's so bad in that second season, it's just 1.5 years that you can eat the money. Unfortunately, that bad season happened in year 1, David, and now you have an unplayable second baseman. That is the reality of it. He is a 9-hitter, and at this point, he's a part-time 9-hitter. And because of the nature of what this roster is and how it's been created, apparently he's got to play every day. So Marcus Semien, El Stinko, and I think the career might be coming to an end, unfortunately, for him.
I think you're correct. My El Stinko is me.
What do we got?
Here, hang on. What's going on? I put out a tweet the other day, and I said, I regret to inform you that I'm allowing myself to get sucked back into this Mets season. This, I believe, was after Monday night's win where they scored 10 runs in the 12th inning. They won 16-7. And at that point, they had just won, 6 out of their last 7 games. Coming off the sweep of the Tigers, the Tyrone Taylor comeback against the Yankees. And then that game, the Mets went 1-5 after I tweeted this. And it's my fault. And I'm a big, fat, stupid head. And this team sucks. And I suck. And I stink. And that's it. I'm the El Stinko. Big, fat El Stinkowski over here is. You're looking
if you're El Stinko, I'm also El Stinko. Okay? Because I also got myself roped back in, especially after the Tyrone Taylor home run roped me all the way back in, and then a 16-run effort the next night. And it's like, oh, wow, they're actually getting some offense, too.
Yeah.
And then there's the next 6 games, unfortunately, have taken it out of us, going 1-5. So a lot of El Stinkos out there if this is the standard for El Stinko.
Yeah.
Predictions for the upcoming week. The Mets have 3 against the Reds, 3 against the Marlins. Over the weekend, they'll be honoring Bobby Valentine and Lee Mazzilli at Citi Field. Rich, your prediction for the upcoming week.
Yeah. 6 games at home. They finally get an off day this week as well. I think they will have played 16 games in a row before that happens. Man, it's tough to be. It is tough to be positive about this at this point. I'm going to just go with the safe bet of 3-3. That has 3-3 has treated me pretty well with these predictions of late. So I'm going to go with that. Nothing else. If they went 4-2, would I be surprised? No. If they went 1-5 or 2-4, would I be surprised? Absolutely not. So I'm just going to go right down the middle, 3-3.
You know, it's funny. The Reds are also one of these teams that have struggled for like the last month, and I don't think it matters because they're playing the Mets. Like
great
the Mets are the ultimate
that.
turnaround. You know.
Yeah. Get right team.
Yeah, I'll go 2-4, and like I think the most it's weird to say this. Their ceiling is 3-3 this week. There's just no way they're about to take 4 out of 6. I'll be fine if you clip that because they've just given me enough evidence to say otherwise. But yeah, I'll go 2-4, and if they do, and then we're going to another West Coast road trip, and no changes are going to be made. Get ready for an empty ballpark when you have the Cardinals on June 9th, and the Knicks are in the finals, and the World Cup is going on. Like, good luck with that.
That seems like a good transition to our last and most anticipated segment of this week's show.
Just Knicks. Yeah, they're one win away from the NBA Finals, and Yeah, I'm in full marathon mode in the Knicks film school world at the
How
moment.
much sleep
And
have you gotten?
well, so you want to know what's funny? They gave me a week off. Like it happened to coincide with like a week I had to do the weekly show for us, the midweek show for us, and I was worked out perfectly that I could just like take the week off and catch up on sleep, and they might give me another one, but yeah, as far as the last 24 hours, not much. Yeah. So, but
Yeah, man.
Rich,
Like,
your thoughts? The Knicks are 1 win away from the NBA Finals.
it doesn't feel real. Like, I almost expect to be hit with this big wave of emotions, and it hasn't gotten there. And maybe it just needs to actually happen before it does. And I think there's something to like the lack of drama to it as well. Like it's not like winning this like war of a 6 or 7 game series that comes down to last night. Like they're just steamrolling teams other than what they did in game one. And what they did in game one, like what happened last year against the Pacers in game one, I had to sit on it for a couple of weeks last year, but I have gone ahead and said, like, officially, that is the worst sports loss of my entire life. It's worse than 2006. Again, I was young in 2006, so it didn't quite hit the same. Worse than any of the Jets title game losses, worse than 2015, those World Series losses were pretty brutal for me. That was the worst, and felt like, and I think a lot of people felt like this, that was going to be a scar on this team and in our fandom for forever. Like you turn back and you look and like you say that was the chance and they blew it and nothing was ever the same after that. And they completely reverse Halliburton this year and they undid it. And Macri on the KFS stuff that night, I think said it perfectly of like, they exercised it, they avenged it, it's wiped, it's gone. And that doesn't happen very often, like being able to undo such a heinous, like scarring loss like that, especially the year after. I think you can count on like one hand how many times, like I think of the Royals going from 2014 to 2015, and then I think of Virginia in college basketball became the first team to ever lose to a 16 seed, and then the second team, and then the next year, or no, they were the first team.
No, they were the first men's team. The women's
first men's team
bracket,
and then the next year they won the national championship, and it just undoes it. And it honestly, it makes the story better if that's how it happens. And whether they win the championship or not, I think that is undone regardless. And that was an amazing moment. And yeah, it hasn't fully hit me yet that we're a win away from the finals, which I've never seen as a Knicks fan. I became a Knicks fan when Amari came to the team and when Melo was coming to the team, and I was picking between the Knicks and the Nets. Because my dad was like a casual Nets fan at the time when they were still in New Jersey, and I was like, oh, I don't know who I'm gonna pick, and that was the first time I went against my dad. And thank God I didn't become a Nets fan. Holy shit! And yeah, it's just, you think back to, I think back to all of the moments that I thought the Knicks were never gonna figure it out, and that it was hopeless. Like I remember living in Ohio, watching a Knicks fake comeback against the Hornets in a year where they won like 17. This is 2018, so they were really bad that year. They didn't even win. They just, they did that thing where they tease you. And then I was so angry, despite the fact that team was ass. Like Damian Dotson and like guys like that, Lou Amundsen, Leandro Barbosa, like these nothing players were playing, and I was getting mad, and I just remember being like, they're never going to be good. It's the way I view the Jets now. Like it's just going to be like this forever. They traded Porzingis when they didn't get Katie and Kyrie, when they didn't get Donovan Mitchell, like all of you could list that forever. And yet all of those moments are actually the reason why this became possible, because if they get Katie and Kyrie, if they get Donovan Mitchell, if they do any of these things, if they get Zion Williamson in that draft, they don't sign Jalen Brunson. And if they don't sign Jalen Brunson, then maybe things would have remained hopeless forever. And I think that's like, I don't know. That's what I've been thinking about the most in the last few days, as this has become more of a reality that they're going to the NBA Finals. And just like, man, like they look how far we've come.
Yeah.
So that's been really special. And it's been a tough year for me. And it looks like the Mets are not going to give me any fun. So the fact that like the Knicks are giving me this, and all of us, this special run, whether they win it or not, I'll remember for forever.
Yeah, same. We gotta put James Buckley with 3 straight comments that a great way to end Just Knicks. So James Buckley first goes, Thunder and Spurs are really tough and we'll have home court. Yeah, not worried. Like, we'll worry about that when we get there. This is about their first trip to the finals since 1999. That's all that is, James. Then, this is just something I need to object to. The Knicks' easy path that they've had to the finals. And, like, if it was so easy, why did so many people pick the Hawks to win the series? Why did the Knicks have the 4th best odds to win the conference at the beginning of the postseason? Why did everybody make such a big hullabaloo about Jason Tatum coming back and Joe Mazzulla and the Celtics? The team that beat that Celtics team, everybody thought, oh, Joel Embiid, how are the Knicks going to defend them? Sixers have the 2 best players in the series, didn't win a game. Detroit, those 3 big blowout victories, a 60-win team that gives a fuck. And then they don't even make it to the conference finals. And then the team that beats them, that's a Cavs team. Their defense, they know how to stop the Knicks. They have a way that they're going to leave Josh Hart wide open. Haven't won a game. The Knicks aren't having an easy path. They're making it look easy. That's the difference. That's the biggest difference. No Boston, no Detroit, because they weren't good enough to play the Knicks. And if
they played them, they would have beaten them.
That's the point. Like, if we had a Boston or Detroit, you would have seen a generational belt to ass. So they saved themselves from having to play this juggernaut of a basketball team. Other franchises have had easy paths. Look at the Nuggets from 3 years ago. The Thunder this year got to play. I'll get to the Celtics in a second, but the Thunder literally this year, like, it was Jalen Green and Mark Williams, and I know Devin Booker's good, but like they played the Suns in the first round, and then a Lakers team without Luka in the second round. Mm-hmm. Like, that's their path. The Celtics 2 years ago played a Heat team without Jimmy Butler, a Cavs team where Mitchell got injured after game 2, a Pacers team that was a 6 seed that benefited from the Knicks all getting hurt, and then they played the Western Conference 5 seed. You play who's in front of you.
Halliburton get hurt in that series too.
Right, so Halliburton missed the last 2 games of that series as well. Like, I'm sorry, this wasn't an easy path. The Knicks made it look easy, and it's just like moving the goalpost if you say that it's easy. Love you, James, but it's just not an accurate take.
And these are also like, other than one game, the Knicks are not winning these games by the skin of their teeth. Like,
it's the highest point differential.
The Detroit
the
Pistons, who are
the
Detroit Pistons, who would have made the Knicks' path look so much better, barely beat the fucking Magic, and then they lost to this Cavs team that has no balls whatsoever, that the Knicks are absolutely eviscerated. But sure, if the Knicks played the Pistons, like, they somehow would have had a chance because they won a couple regular season games, which we learned last year when the Knicks went 0-4 against the Celtics. And then they beat them in 6 in the playoffs. The regular season record means dick. This Knicks team is completely different than they were a month ago, let alone 3-4 months ago, the last time they played the Pistons. The Pistons also clearly not built for the playoffs because they have one guy who can score. Like, I put it in a chat on one of the Knicks live streams today. Like, if the Knicks had a better chance to beat the Pistons in 2 than the Pistons had to beat the Knicks in the playoffs this year.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about it.
Look, again, no Boston, no Detroit. If they were so good, they would have won. They should have won, and they would have got to play the Knicks, and they would have lost that too. like the Knicks have the best point differential in NBA history. Pick any of the great teams that you're talking about right now. The Knicks have the best point differential in NBA history. If all those other teams, all these easy paths, were like so fortunate to get there, why didn't they have the best point differential in NBA history to start the season? It's the best point differential in NBA history. They're making it look easy, which is why the calibration is all off. So
yeah, well, we'll wrap it up here. But to your point before too, and I put this on Twitter. I think I'm delirious at some point in the last 24 hours. Can't go out there and pick the Hawks and the Sixers and the Cavs to all win, and then when they don't, turn around and say, well, the path was easy. You can't
just
keep
moving the goalposts.
Yeah, it's just and then if the Knicks win the title against a fully healthy Spurs or Thunder team, they'll make excuses for that too. Like it's just this is the way that the Knicks get treated, and I think that the national media, the national sports media, has kind of cooked people's brains when it comes to the Knicks because they just cannot function and handle the fact that this is just like a really good, potentially generationally good basketball team.
Kenny Atkinson really said this. Analytically, we've won 2 out of 3. Oh my gosh.
Oh, what a fucking loser.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay. We could go on about this for way too long, but that is incredible.
Yeah.
Anyways, the Mets.
That's just this is a real quote from a head coach in the conference finals.
Oh my God.
Yeah. All right.
David Stearns would get along with Kenny
That's like a David Stearns quote. Exactly.
Incredibly well.
It's very much a David Stearns quote. And look, I'll throw an olive branch to James. BS, been a Knicks fan since 1970. Then you know you've never seen the Knicks play like this. This isn't just like they're taking advantage of bad opponents. They're making a team that was 18-2 going to the postseason in the Hawks, a Sixers team that eliminated the conference favorite, and a Cavs team that was the preseason favorite to win the conference over the Knicks. They're making them look like this is an easy path. You of all people, because you saw the 73 team, you saw like all the Bernard teams through the 80s, the Ewing runs in the 90s, literally no team this century, right? This is the best the Knicks have ever looked outside of the 73 playoff run. Like, this is not an easy path. They are making it look easy. So
if you can't enjoy this, James, like, what are you going to enjoy? Like,
I don't want to single out James, because I know there's a lot of people out there
I'm not like saying it in a negative. I'm like, we don't get a lot of moments in life, let alone the fucking teams that we have chosen to be fans of, at least with you, with the Mets and the Knicks. I don't know if you're a Jets fan too, but there are so few opportunities to dream and like realistically dream and be this level of happy. So like, just enjoy it, because if you don't enjoy it, it might be over in a week. Like, enjoy it as long as you possibly can, because you never know how quickly it's going to end, and then you don't know if you'll ever get back.
I agree. This has been another episode of the Just Mets podcast, presented by the Believe Podcast Network. I'll be back midweek to talk about this ass. And we'll be back next Sunday to talk more about this ass. We'll see how competitive this season is, and whether we get something exciting like a manager, potentially. And look, I'm not like saying exciting in that I'm rooting for it, but like at this point, put the guy out of his misery. You know, This is not good for his reputation either, to having all these losses on his resume. If you dug the show, please head over to this YouTube channel, like this video. Remember to subscribe. If you're listening, please leave a 5-star rating and a review, Apple or Spotify. Yeah, Rich, let's go Knicks. Hopefully they close it out on Monday and continue dominating this path that they've made look very easy throughout this postseason. He is Rich. I am Andrew. Let's go Mets. And in the words of the immortal Gary Cohen, we are out of here.